Hello, fellow Cilmacians. It's been quite a long time since I posted a video about things, going on, and I realized that over the last 4 years, I've done nothing but ignore my past and everything regarding the HTCG community, as well as my old card game, Dimensions of Cilmac. I've also posted a lot of videos claiming that I had returned and I was planning on making more cards, but each and every one of those were followed up by more silence. And yeah. I'm sure you are probably watching this and thinking, oh, it's going to be the same as before. Me saying I'm back and not following up, but please hear me out because this time I'm not going to be making promises that I'll be unable to keep. I believe that I have reflected on my past enough in order to be ready to explain my thoughts on this whole thing, and I hope that you can all forgive me for ghosting everyone. I want to start by saying thank you to some amazing folks who most likely don't know that they have even impacted my life in such a crucial way. I want to say thanks to a lot of the original creators in this community for being the reason why I joined and I started uploading Dimensions of Cilmac videos in the first place. Um, Thank you to literally everyone that watches these videos for having so many good things to say about Cilmac. Thanks to my wonderful girlfriend who said I should come back because I've always enjoyed making games and I'm always trying to come up with ideas for things that would be fun to play. Thank you to Kiwi for sharing his story about his experience in the homemade trading card game community. I watched the video about a year ago when he released it, and at this point, it's kind of old news. Most of you have probably seen it. The link's in the description, just in case, though. Um, and honestly, there were many moments where I found myself listening to his version of this story that I had seen kind of happen to myself. Obviously, plenty of differences, but um, a lot of similarities still. And while I wanted to make one of those videos myself, I just never got around to it. And I let kind of his words drift around YouTube, hoping that others might understand from his video what growing up can do to people. I was a kid who had way too much time in high school and was not at all prepared for what life was going to throw at me. I thought I didn't have time to make any cards due to my full-time job, living alone and such. I was, of course, a fool because everybody's story is different, so why would his words speak for me? And lastly, I want to say thanks to Chaos Galaxy, or Zach if you watch his videos. Um, there's a link in the description for this video as well, but I was sent a link to it. And I went and I watched it, and I wanted to say thanks for his nostalgic trip down memory lane. It's a video he didn't post too long ago explaining the history of the HTCG community. He spoke about Peter Jank, Wanted Striker, Kiwi, myself, so many other people that, if I list would just take far too long. And seriously, it's an amazing video, so if you haven't watched it, go do so. But back to what I was saying, this video it woke me up. Watching it made me realize that everyone in the HTCG community has been here to show their games to people and to share it with the world. This was a concept that I knew, of course, back when I worked on Cilmac, but somehow I had just forgotten about it and lost my way. The memories of how this all started began to flood back to me, and I was struck by this realization that I threw away something that meant so much to me simply because I was unwilling to put the time in, or I was unable to kind of clearly see what everybody wanted. I thought I had to make everyone happy. I felt almost too pressured by the community for some reason in order to continue Cilmac, whether I wanted to or not. So when life got busy and my free time and energy was spent to work on cards went away, I got angry at myself for not doing that. I felt like I'd failed everyone, including myself. But I haven't stopped after all these years thinking of game ideas, coming up with concepts. I've just thrown them away thinking they weren't original enough, or how could I go back after all this time? And thinking about how, to me, Cilmac seemed like a complete and utter failure. In reality, Cilmac wasn't. I still, to this day, get the odd comment asking to see more, asking if I still make the game, even though it's been 4 years. It's surprising because the community has moved on without me. There's so many new creators that I've missed since not being a part of this. In the last few weeks, I've joined the HTCG Discord server. I've been hanging out and talking with a lot of people there, and I just want to say there are some incredibly talented, intelligent, and down-to-earth people in there with some pretty amazing games. But having this realization about Cilmac helps me feel so much better about the past. You see, for some reason, I felt like I had no choice but to put the game up on the Game Crafter in order to prove myself to everybody or something. Not to mention, everyone else had been jumping on that train, so I guess I felt like it was expected of me to do so as well. I realized, though, that people would have been perfectly happy if I just made the occasional Set 2 video and made some more cards here and there. Instead, I forced myself to go through a process that was way more complicated than it needed to be to make Cilmac have digital files, and truthfully, I wasn't enjoying it at all. It wasn't designed for that in the first place. It was just something that I made cards for, and as I made it, it evolved into a game that I slowly changed the rules for, but it never really felt satisfying to me. Taking what ideas that I did take from other games that I had seen and had given me inspiration, and making something that just didn't feel like a real game. My goal with this video, however, isn't to create excuses. I can't say it wasn't my fault that I left, because it certainly is. All I can say is that I'm sorry for not realizing sooner. I made too many promises that I broke over and over again by saying I'm back, new cards soon, or some garbage like that. My intention certainly wasn't to lie, but to seriously get back into things, to actually work on projects. But every time I sent one of those videos, a small amount of time passed, and I would just fall back into what I had done before. I suppose I never really got over everything that was depressing that had happened in my life around that time. But I really hope that all of that makes sense to you all. Whoever you are that is watching this, I hope you can forgive me. Because I haven't forgotten about all of you. I realized that the most important thing was simply the sharing of our creativity. The simple act of showing people some cards is what makes us a part of this community. I should mention that Dimensions of Cilmac, that old HTCG, will probably most likely never return. I want to be upfront with that. There was a lot of time where people would show up and they'd ask, and I'd go, well, it might in the future, even though in my heart I knew that it wasn't going to happen. So I'm saying this now, unless I have a spark of inspiration and I figure out a way to completely change it, it's probably never coming back. Not in the way that you all remember it anyway. It had too many ideas from other card games. I hated the art on the cards, and it's been so long now that it's not even relevant anymore. That being said, I still have fond memories of making them and showing them all to you. Seeing happy comments on new uploads and being a small part of something rather large, which is the homemade trading card game community. All that said, going forward, I'm not going to make promises. Whatever happens, happens. I have no idea exactly where that will take me, but what I do know is that I would like to start creating again. I know that while the card game, The Dimensions of Cilmac, will most likely not make a return, the world of Cilmac is far from done. I've continued to build on its lore through playing Dungeons and Dragons. running a fairly long-running campaign involving Cilmac universe, and as well as some other game projects. That being said, my next project is figuring out Destiny tactics. There's been some videos on the channel. I spoke about it way back years ago. The ideas have never gone away. I've completely reworked the rules and game systems. Some people already know about this. As I said before, about the Discord HTCG server, I've also been making some posts there about Destiny tactics, and I'm almost at a point now where I'll be ready to show off some cards. I've only got a couple done, like actually artworks, like fully finished cards. I'm currently just trying to put cards together so I can play test and make sure that the game is running in a place where I'm happy with the gameplay. I don't want to end up in the same situation as before, where I'm not happy with the game because it's borrowed too many concepts or it just doesn't play the way that I wanted it to. I really want to make sure it's good. I really want to make sure that it's fun. I really want to make sure that I'm happy with it. So, honestly, I wanted to make this video for the last couple of weeks now, maybe even a month. But I've put off because I wanted to make sure that I had more progress done with the game before I uploaded this video so that I could get something out to you guys, something to show you, something concrete. Even now, I'll pop up on the screen some things that I've been working on, some pictures. Um, but until then, thanks for watching and listening. I know it's been a while. I appreciate everything that everyone here has done. And if you're still sticking around, I don't know why you would be because I haven't uploaded in literally forever. You are amazing. I truly hope to see you soon, son.